Shri Sai Satcharitra, Chapter 7, Wonderful Incarnation, Behaviour of Sai Baba, His Yoga Practices, His all-pervasiveness, Leper devotee service, Master Khaparde's plague, going to Pandharpur. Wonderful Incarnation. Sai Baba knew all yogic practices. He was well versed in the six processes including devotee, Khanda Yoga, that is separating his limbs and joining them again, and Samadhi, etc. If you think that he is a Hindu, he looked like Yavan. If you think him to be Yavan, he looked like a pious Hindu. No one definitely knew whether he was a Hindu or Mohammedan. He celebrated the Hindu festival of Ramanavami with all due formalities and at the same time permitted the sandal procession of Mohammedans. He encouraged wrestling bouts in the festival and gave good prizes to winners. When the Gokul Ashtami came, he got the Gopal Kala ceremony duly performed, and on Eid festival, he allowed Mohammedans to say their prayers, that is namaz, in his masjid. Once the Muharram festival, some Mohammedans proposed to construct tajia or tabut in the masjid, keep it there for some days, and afterwards take it in a procession through the village. Sai Baba allowed the keeping of tabut for 4 days and on the fifth day removed it out of the masjid without the least compunction. If we say that he was a Mohammedan, his ears were pierced. If you think that he was a Hindu, he advocated the practice of circumcision. If you call him Hindu, he always lived in a masjid. If Mohammedan, he had always the dhuni, that is sacred fire there. And the following things which are contrary to Mohammedan religion, that is grinding on a handmill, blowing of the conch and bells, oblation in the fire, bhajans, giving of food and worship of Baba's feet by means of arghya, water, were always followed there. If you think that he was a Mohammedan, the best of Brahmins and Agnihotris, leaving aside their orthodox ways, fell prostrate at his feet. Those who went to make enquiries about his nationality were dumbfounded and captured by his darshana. So, no one could definitely decide whether Sai Baba was a Hindu or a Mohammedan. This is no wonder, for he who completely surrendered himself to the God by getting rid of his egoism and body consciousness thus becomes one with him and has nothing to do with any questions on caste or nationality. Such a one as Sai Baba saw no difference between different caste and religions. He took meat and fish with fakirs, but did not grumble when dog touches the dishes with their mouths. Such a unique and wonderful incarnation was Baba. On account of this merits in my past birth, I had good fortune to sit at his feet and enjoy his blessed company. The joy and delight I derived therefrom was incomparable. In fact, Baba was pure Anand and consciousness. I cannot sufficiently describe him, his greatness and uniqueness. He who took delight at his feet was established in his own self. Many sannyasis, sadhakas, and all sort of men aspiring for salvation came to Sai Baba. He always walked, talked, and laughed with them and always uttered with his tongue Allah Malik. God is a sole owner. He never liked discussion or arguments. He always calm and controlled, though irritable at sometimes. Always preached full Vedanta and nobody knew till the last who was Baba. Princes and poor people were treated alike by him. He knew the inmost secrets of all, and when he gave expressions to them, all were surprised. He was a repository of all knowledge. Still, he feigned ignorance. He also disliked honor. Such were the characteristics of Sai Baba. Though he had a human body, his deed testified to his godhood. All people considered him as a Lord God in Shirdi. Behavior of Baba. Fool that I cannot describe Baba's miracles. He got almost all the temples in Shirdi repaired. Though Tatya Patil, the temple of Shani, Ganapati, Shankar Parvati, village deity, and Maruti were put in order. His charity was also remarkable. The money he used to collect as Dakshina was freely distributed. He used to distribute 20 rupees, 15 rupees, 50 rupees to others every day. The recipient thought that this was pure charity, and Baba wished that it should be usefully employed. People were immensely benefited by having a darshan of Baba. Some became hale and hearty. Wicked people were turned into good ones. Kushta was cured in some cases. Many got their desires fulfilled. Without any drops or medicines being put on the eyes, some blind men got back their sight, and some lame ones got their legs. Nobody could see the end of his extraordinary greatness. His fame spread far and wide. The pilgrim from all sides flocked to Shirdi. Baba sat always near the dhuni and eased himself there, and always sat in meditation, sometimes with and on other times without bath. He used to tie a white turban on his head and wear a clean dhotar around his waist and a shirt on his body. This was his dress in beginning. He started practicing medicine in a village, examined patients and gave medicines. He was always successful and he became famous as a Hakim, doctor. A curious case may be narrated here. One devotee got his eyeballs quite red and swollen. No doctor was available in Shirdi. The other devotee took him to Baba. Other doctor would use ointment, anjanas, cow's milk, and drugs, etc. in such a cases. But Baba's remedy was quite unique. He pounded some biba and made two balls of them, thrust them in each eyes of the patient and wrapped a cloth bandage around them. Next day, the bandage was removed and water was poured over them in a stream. The inflammation subsided and the pupils became white and clear. Though the eyes are very delicate, the biba caused no smartling but removed the diseases of the eyes. Many such cases were cured, and this is only an instance in point. Baba's yoga practices. Baba knew all processes and practices of yoga. Two of them were described here. First one, dhoti or cleaning process. Baba went to the well near a banyan tree at a considerable distance from the masjid every third day and washed his mouth and had a bath. On one occasion, he was seen to vomit out his intestines clean them inside and outside, and place them on a jam tree for drying. There are persons in Shirdi who have actually seen this and who have testified to this fact. Ordinary dhoti is done by moistened piece of linen 3 inches broad, 22 and a half feet long. This piece is gulped down the throat and allowed to remain in the stomach for about half an hour for being reacted there and then taken out. But Baba's dhoti was quite unique and extraordinary. Khanda Yoga. In this practice, Baba extracted the various limbs from his body and left them separately at different places in the masjid. Once a gentleman went to a masjid and saw the limbs of Baba lying separately at separate places. He was much terrified and he first thought of running to the village officers and informing them of Baba being hacked to pieces and murdered. He thought that he would be held responsible as he was the first informant and knew something of the affair, so he kept quiet. But next day, when he went to masjid, he was very much surprised to see Baba hale and hearty and sound as before. He thought that what he had seen previous day was only a dream. Baba practiced yoga since his infancy and nobody knew or guessed the proficiency he attained. He charged no fees for his cures, became renowned and famous by virtue of his merits, gave health to many poor and suffering persons. This famous doctor of doctors cared not for his interest but always worked for good and welfare of others, himself suffering unbearable and terrible pain many a time in the process. One such instance I give below, which will show the all pervasive and most merciful character of Sai Baba. Baba's all pervasiveness and mercy. In year 1910, Baba was sitting near the Dhuni on Diwali holiday and warming himself. He was pushing firewood into Dhuni, which was brightly burning. A little later, instead of pushing logs of woods, Baba pushed his arms into the Dhuni. The arm was scorched and burnt immediately. This was noticed by servant Madhava and also Madhavrao Deshpande, Shama. They at once ran to Baba and Madhavrao clasped Baba by his waist and behind and dragged him forcibly backward and asked, Deva, for what you have done this? Then Baba came to his senses and replied, the wife of blacksmith at some distant place was working on the bellows of furnace. Her husband called her. Forgetting that her child was on her waist, she ran hastily and the child slipped into the furnace. I immediately thrust my hand into the furnace and saved the child. I do not mind my arm is being burnt, but I am glad that the life of a child is saved. Leper devotees service. On hearing the news of Baba's hand is being burnt from Shama, Madhavrao Deshpande, Mr. Nana Saheb Chandorkar, accompanied by the famous doctor Paramanand of Bombay with his medical outfit consisting of ointment, lint and bandage etc., rushed to Shirdi and requested Baba to allow Dr. Paramanand to examine the arm and dress the wound caused by the burnt. This was refused. Ever since the burn, the arm was dressed by the leper devotee Bhagoji Shinde. His treatment considered in massaging the burnt part with ghee and then placing the leaf over it and bandaging it tightly with pattis, that is bandage. Mr. Nana Sahib Chandorkar solicited Baba many a time to unfasten the pattis and get the wound examined and rest treated by Dr. Paramanand with the object that it may be speedily healed. Dr. Paramanand himself made similar request, but Baba postponed, saying that Allah is his doctor and did not allow his arm to be examined. Dr. Paramanand's medicines were not exposed to their air of Shirdi, as they remained intact, but he had the good fortune of getting darshan of Baba. Bagoji was allowed to treat the hand daily. After some days, the arm healed and all were happy. Still, do not know whether any trace of a pain was left or not. Every morning, Bagoji went throughout his program of loosening the pattis, massaging his arm with ghee and tightly bandaging it again. This went on till Sai Baba's Samadhi. Sai Baba is perfect Siddha, as he was, did not really want this treatment, but out of the love to his devotees, he allowed the Upasana service of Bagoji to go to uninterrupted all along. When Baba started for Lendi, Bagoji held an umbrella over him and accompanied him. Every morning, when Baba sat near the post close to Dhuni, Bagoji was present and started his service. Bagoji was a sinner in his past birth. He was suffering from leprosy. His fingers were shrunk. His body was full of pus and smelling badly. Though outwardly he seemed so unfortunate, he was really very lucky and happy, for he was the premier servant of Baba and got the benefit of his company. Master Khaparde's plague case. I shall now relate another instance of Baba's wonderful Leela. Mrs. Khaparde, the wife of Mr. Dada Sahib Khaparde of Amravati, was staying at Shirdi with her young son from many days. One day, the son got high fever, which further developed into bubonic plague. The mother was frightened and felt most uneasy. She thought of leaving the place for Amravati and went near Baba in the evening. When he was coming near the Vada in his evening rounds for asking his permission, she informed him in a trembling tone that her dear son was down with a plague. Baba spoke kindly and softly to her, saying that the sky is beset with clouds, but they will melt and pass off, and everything will be smooth and clear. So saying, he lifted up his kafni to the waist and showed to all present devotees four fully developed buboes as big as eggs, and added, "See how I have to suffer for my devotees. Their difficulties are mine." Seeing this unique and extraordinary deed, Leela, the people were convinced as to how the saint suffered pains for their devotees. The mind of a saint is softer than wax. It is soft in and out as butter. They love their devotees without any idea of gain and regard them as their true relatives. Going to Pandharpur and staying there. I shall now close this chapter after relating the story illustrating how Sai Baba loved his devotees and anticipated their wishes and movements. Mr. Nana Sahib Chandorkar, who was a great devotee of Baba, who was Mamledar at Nandurbar of Khandesh. He got an order to transfer to Pandharpur. His devotion to Sai Baba bore fruit as he got an order to go to Pandharpur and stay there, which is regarded as the Bhu Vaikunta, that is heaven on earth. Nana Sahib had to take immediate charge, so he left immediately for the place without even writing or informing anybody at Shirdi. He wanted to give surprise visit to Shirdi, his Pandharpur, see and salute his Vitoba, that is Baba, and then wanted to proceed. Nobody dreamt of Nana Sahib's departure for Shirdi, but Sai Baba knew all about this, as his eyes were everywhere, omniscient. As soon as Nana Sahib approached Neemgaon, a few miles from Shirdi, there was a stir in Masjid at Shirdi. Baba was sitting and talking with Malsapati, Appa Shinde, and Kashiram when he at once said, "Let us all four do some bhajans. The doors of Pandharpur are open. Let us merrily sing." Then they began to sing in chorus. The burden of the song is being, "I have to go to Pandharpur and I have to stay on there, for it is house of my Lord." Baba sang and devotees followed him. In a short time, Nana Sahib came there with family, prostrated before Baba, and requested him to accompany them to Pandharpur and stay with them there. The solicitation was not necessary, as devotees told Nana Sahib that Baba was already in a mood of going to Pandharpur and staying there. Hearing this, Nana Sahib was moved and fell at Baba's feet. Then, getting Baba's permission, Udi, sacred ashes, and blessings, Nana Sahib left for Pandharpur. There is no end to Baba's stories, but let me now make a halt here, reserving for the next chapter other topics such as importance of human life, Baba's living on alms, Baijabai's service, and other stories. Bow to Shri Sai, peace to be all. Shri Sai pranams.